Sergio, welcome to the podcast.
What's
I
up,
want
dude?
to jump right in.
Okay.
We work together. I love you. And you had this big theme of your life, just the way you live life, that you can have it all.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that. We can have it all. We can have everything we want in life.
I think you can. I think there's this belief that as you get older, you have to start to sacrifice certain things versus making things different priorities. I mean, it's pretty evident, right? You watch people lose the flame in their marriage. You watch people stay at a job that they hate because it feels secure. You watch people become fat and dumpy as shit as they get older because they say that they don't have the time. And it's one of these storylines that just continues for everybody until they start to rewrite the story of what they want. And there are plenty of people that I run with that are in my circle that have an amazing marriage. They have kids who look up to them as heroes. They're fit as they can be. They have a great connection with God and themselves, and they make a shit ton of money. And from the outside looking in, you're like, oh, that can't be real. And then you start to have conversations with him and with his kids and with his wife. And I've got to experience all of this. I'm like, huh. The only reason we believe we can't have it all is because we haven't been exposed to what is. And so I am in the process of pursuing that. And I don't think that there's any limitations that you can place on yourself.
So you kind of have these like main buckets of what having it all means.
Yep.
Right? Which would be business and finances,
Business.
work,
Yeah.
your health,
Yep.
your relationships,
Yep.
and your relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
I guess just
Yeah. You can encompass that into relationships. You know, I think there's two. Well, there's probably multiple, but your relationship with yourself, if you believe in a higher power or spiritual power, and then your relationships with your family members and your kids.
What about somebody who would what if you want to travel all the time, but you also want deep relationships in a community, say here in Denver, Colorado, and you also want a family? Like, how are you bound? How would you tell someone you can have it all? You can do all the travel and all the stuff you want and build a community and all that stuff, where sometimes it might not seem like all of that's possible.
I mean, you have to ask, I think the bigger question is like, well, what do you want? If you
Really want.
If you actually want that, well, then let's build a lifestyle around that. Most people have this idea of these things that they want. And then when you really boil it down, they want connection. They want, more money so they can have experiences. They want these few specific things. And then all of a sudden they start to layer things on top of that actually are just distractions of the thing that they want. We've talked about this. But whatever it is, I mean, it's achievable. Like the fact that people are like, well, I travel a lot. I can't be in shape. Okay, well, wake up earlier. Well, I don't have healthy options. Well, don't go out to eat, or eat before you go out to eat and then just have a salad when you go out to dinner. Like, you can do it. So this idea that it's not possible is just, it's bullshit.
Yeah. What's the, okay. What is the deal? We were talking about this. We went for a run before this, and it's like, and I was watching some of your Instagrams, and you come from the real estate world.
Yep.
You've made $1 million in a year.
Yep.
And you help people. You're kind of a leader at the business now, right? You're more of the life coach at the business and helping these people have it all in their life, run a successful business. And what is getting in people's way of I think there's a lot of this excuse yeah, but okay, Sergio, you don't get it. You're not living my life. It's harder for me.
Yeah. How's that story serving you?
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Right.
Listen, I can overcome almost anything. Any objection that somebody's going to give me about why it's not going to work. I have health problems. Cool. I had a heart attack. Yeah. Well, my wife's a bitch. Cool. Lizzie's the most difficult woman I've ever been in a relationship with.
Careful with your words there.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And she is. And I love her for it
Yeah.
because she's a powerful woman. Right? Well, I have kids. Okay. I have one. I got another one coming on the way. Oh, my market. Thank you. The gym's not my thing. I never said you had to go to the gym. And so it's these constant beliefs of just being like, well, you need to figure out what it is that you want. And I think the thing that gets in front of people is that they lack certainty. And they lack certainty in themselves, which creates this inability to have confidence in yourself. So then everything seems like it's this massive task that you can't actually accomplish. But the reality is you just don't believe you can do it because you're confident somewhere in your life, right? Are you a confident runner? Were you always a confident runner? Yeah. Are you a confident speaker?
Yes.
Were you always a confident speaker?
Hell no.
Exactly. So I live kind of by this one principle. It's build the man.
Yeah.
If you're not the man, then build the fucking man. If you're not the woman, then build the woman. You can build whatever it is. You just have to be willing to know what you want and then figure out how to get there.
Okay. So to build we'll say man, where do we start? It's knowing what you want.
You have to know what you want.
So many people, I'm with you on this. And then it's but I don't know what I want. And here's what I'll do. I'll be like, okay, I'll do this on sales calls, right? What's the dream? What do you want to make? I don't know. Okay, you want to make $1 this year? No, I want to make more than that. You want to make $5 million? That seems pretty unrealistic. Okay, so I think you have an idea.
Somewhere
So
between there.
fucking tell me, how
Yeah.
much money do you want to make? Like, you actually do, and I think what you were saying, I don't even know if you just said it now or on a run, but it's like you're just lying to yourself.
And that's the whole, listen, I think at the end of the day, people don't know what they want because how often have they sat with it?
Yeah, right.
And then you have to start to, kind of peel back where like, well, what are the frames that I've been living in that have been given to me by my parents and my experiences? What are the limitations I'm playing with on myself? I mean, it's no different than, we're sitting there on that run and we start to talk about, how you're designing your business. And you said, I wanted to have this many people. And then I got it. I was like, well, that's not what I want. Well, who wrote the rules of that game?
Mm-hmm.
You did.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't like the rules, then change the rules and play a different game. And I think a lot of people aren't willing to give themselves that permission because so many people are just looking for somebody else to tap them on the shoulder and be like, hey, you can go do this. And until then, like they don't know what they want, so they want to be told what they want.
Mm. Is there like a balance? Because I'm totally with you. Like especially the last like several my bike across America 7 years ago, it's been this like, what do I really want? Because I went to college, I got the good degree, I was a civil engineer in New York City, building the One World Trade Center. I'm like, well, I'm not happy. I did what I was supposed to do. I'm not happy. I was promised I would be. I'm not. So what do I really want? And then rode my bike across America, and then it's just been this constant evolution of like, what do I want? What do I want? Right? You asked me about my business. I've always one-on-one clients. I'm like, I don't want one-on-one clients. I want more free time. I don't have space to be creative and make fun reels like I enjoy doing. And I wonder where we find the balance of like, you're a life coach, right? We hire a life coach to like fix my life, tell me what to do. I know that's not really what goes on,
right?
But there is a balance of what do you really want, and also like help me with some guidance.
I think there's this sweet spot, right, where you don't know what it is you want, and so you're asleep to everything. At some point, like everything that we have right now, the life you have, the relationships with Natalie that you have, we know what you're pursuing was a dream of yours. And you might still love it. That might still be your thing. This house was at one point a dream for me. The job that I had in real estate was a dream. The relationship that I had with Lizzie at the time was a dream. Now it's all a fucking prison. It's a prison because I know there's more for Lizzie and I. This house doesn't have a backyard. It's not in the neighborhood I want. So it's become like almost like a prison for me. And you can say like, dude, nice house. You're kind of being an asshole. Well, that's fine. This is my life, not yours. And then the job that I had was incredible, but it wasn't what I was called to do. And so at some point I was asleep to what was possible. I woke up to that. I did the thing. And once I had like success and I was able to grow and expand and get to the top of this peak, I could then look out and see, well, what else is there for me? And then I'm like, well, that's it. That's the direction I want to go. And so when you don't know what it is exactly what you want, you have to ask yourself, well, do you have what you want right now? And if the answer is no, then it's simply a game of, well, let's go try some shit.
Yeah, I love it because that's the only way to know.
Yeah.
Right? My girlfriend doesn't like shrimp. She's never eaten shrimp.
She just doesn't like shrimp?
Don't know if you don't like shrimp. If you haven't, like, I'll butter and garlic this thing. It'll be fucking delicious. You don't know if you don't try it. I tease her about that. I'm like, you don't have to like it, but you have to try it.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I mean, well, one thing you said, we were upstairs, doing the ice bath, and I was telling him, like, feel my tricep. There is no tricep.
Yeah.
I haven't lifted in a while. I'm like, dude, I hate the way my body looks right now. You didn't really ask because you understand, but I'm like, it's not compared to yours or anyone else's. It's like, I know what my body has looked like before. I know what I'm capable of. I know I haven't been working out, so I know I could look this way. And I'm like, I haven't been committed to that. It's like, I want to be recommitted. I want to look better with my shirt off. And I'm not comparing it to anyone else.
Yeah.
But it's also, so anyway, I just want to share that, like, yes, this is all like compared to you, right? The house, this was a dream. And I know you don't take it for granted. You love it and you have a beautiful family, but it's like, yeah, well, now I want a backyard because I'm about to have my second son on the way.
Yeah.
Let's fucking go. And we want to be outside, having catch, playing tackle football with each other.
All of it.
Yeah. So there's this other piece of all of this where I have been trying to understand, not only for myself, because I will take action, but there's still like a few things where I still don't take the action I want to.
Right.
And I see myself as such, like an action taker. And so I think there's a lot of other people who know that they need to do this thing to get where they want to be, but they struggle so hard fucking doing it. So how do you help people take that action, do the thing that you know you need to do consistently, but you're not consistent with it?
Yeah. We have to find places to build confidence and certainty in other places. So a lot of times it can be something as simple as like, well, let's do a 30-day challenge. Let's do a 30-day challenge where you pick one thing in yourself that you're going to do. Because whether it's I'm going to drink a gallon of water a day or I'm going to go walk every day, the task is irrelevant, but your ability to say, hey, I'm going to do this when I say I'm going to do it, and I'm going to stick with it for 30 days. That is a commitment to yourself. And in that commitment to yourself, you're just showing yourself that what you say you accomplish. And then once we're there, it's really be like, okay, so you say you want to make $100,000 a year and you're making $50,000 a year. Well, what do you think might be the first step for us to increase that? And then we start to explore different things. I can't, even if I know what it is, I can't tell you what to go do.
Mm-hmm.
I can. Sometimes I'll just fucking punch somebody in the dick and be like, hey, listen, you obviously can't figure this out. So this is step one. This is the 30-day challenge. But more often than not, people do know. They just don't want to say it because they realize that once they verbalize it, then they have no fucking excuses left.
Mm.
So it's really just leading them down a path and building them, putting them in a corner until they have no other options.
Yeah. I like what I said before of like, I think it's this constant, I know for me, what do I really want? Not what is Sergio doing? Not what is my other coach that I might look up to? What is he doing? What does his website look? How does he make content? Or, what does his life outside of work look like and his relationship look like? It's like, what do I want? And it's this constant like asking yourself that and then going to try it.
Yeah.
But then we get in this balance of you were once on our Modern Happiness podcast and maybe, I don't know if we'll talk. You mentioned your heart attack. Like,
Yeah.
You can go listen. I'll tag that episode below. People can hear about like your history. Maybe we'll talk about it today. But I talked about a lot on that podcast where I'm like, for me, it's like constantly the game of going to do the thing and then being like, do I like not want to do this? Like, am I backing away because it's too hard and I'm just not good at it yet?
Mm-hmm.
Or do I really not like this? Like, is this really not my thing? Like, I tried running for 6 months. I just don't like it. Like, I can run fine, but I just don't like it. Like, okay, then
Mm-hmm.
So finding that balance of, is this hard? And I just need to get better at it. I just need to keep going and like figuring it out. And on top of that, I do believe like, how much fun can I have in the process of this? Like, if you never ran before and now you're running to see if that's the thing that will help you get in shape, how much fun can you have with it? Can you like get a buddy to run with? Can you turn it into sprints? Can you like make a game out of it? Like, can you go in the most pretty view in Colorado on your run? So the whole thing, can you bring your camera while you're running and take pictures because you're a photographer? Like, how much fun can you make the process? And then like, and then decide if you don't like it. Did that all make sense?
Yeah. I think a lot of people, sometimes they skip that part, and I think there's this point where the motivation and the excitement is high at the moment that you decide, hey, I'm going to go do this. Oh, dude, I'm going to, whatever it is.
That's the motivation.
The feeling of just verbalizing it, of, hey, I'm going to go do this, or this is what I'm doing, it creates just as much as excitement as actually doing it. And so people get wrapped up in just talking about it. Hey, how's that marathon training go? Oh, dude, I'm starting next week. Yeah. Sweet. And they're excited and you can feel the excitement. And then you see them again. You're like, well, have you started? They're like, no. The one thing that happens, and it's pretty regularly, is like you get into this spot where you say you're going to do something and then Monday rolls around. And when Monday rolls around, you're faced with the basic boring shit that you have to do. And it can be fun, but the majority of things that you're going to try to accomplish is going to require you to just do basic, boring stuff consistently. It's Monday. Well, we got to do it. Well, it's Wednesday and it's raining. Well, we got to do it. Oh, it's Friday. We got to do it. It's a weekend. We got to do it. So I think the ability for us to get out of that motivation and just realize that when you can take those consistent actions regularly, you'll start to see some benefit from it. Dude, I look back on the last 3 months of my life. I haven't done anything drastic. I've just woken up at the same time every day, worked out when I said I was going to work out, ate the things I said I was going to eat, do the things I said I was going to do. I meditated, I stacked, and I stopped lying and told the truth. I did that for 3 months. My entire life looks different.
So can you tell me about that? Because like we see you on your Instagram.
Yeah.
I do. You're up at like 3:30 a.m. You're in the gym before the sun rises. You're doing your morning stack, which I would love for you to talk about. What I'm not a morning person, and it's difficult for and people are like, you want to make $1 million? Wake up at 4 a.m. You know, and it's like, okay, I think not one thing is right for everyone.
I also don't think that's a true statement.
What?
You need to wake up at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
The timeline's irrelevant.
But for you, like, for anyone getting up at 3:30, 4 a.m. I would imagine difficult.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it doesn't feel good. It does not feel good at all. But you guys could probably hear my son in the background, Luca, and my wife's in the background too. Like, I know that her and I are a better couple when she is investing in herself and taking care of herself, which means I have to wake up earlier for her to do that. Now, could she do it too? Sure. But she's growing a fucking baby, right? Like, that's kind of be a dickhead move if I did that. Now, there's times where she's like, I care about your health and your sleep. I need you to go do this. But at the end of the day, like, I don't ever want my commitments to the stuff that I'm doing for myself to become something that takes away time from my family.
Mm.
And I'm not perfect at it. But the reason I wake up so early is because I want to invest in myself. I want to get all of that stuff done so that when they wake up, I'm the best version of me.
Is there a hierarchy? Because it sounds like there is, like family's priority, which means that you wake up earlier to get your stuff done.
I'm priority. The family doesn't work if I don't work. The family doesn't work if Lizzie doesn't work.
Would you work better if you didn't have to get up so early?
No, I mean, like, honestly, there's something peaceful about it. There really is, right? Like, nobody is up. It's just me, the silence, and my thoughts. And I think in that space, knowing that nobody's going to be calling me, nobody's going to be texting me, those two are sound asleep and they're safe, it creates this container that I'm able to explore some of the hard shit in my life. And not hard shit like trauma. I'm talking about like the hard decisions that I'm making right now in this season of life to walk away from real estate, $1 million business, to pursue something that potentially could be greater than what I'm doing right now. Those are massive pivots that I cannot make unless I have a clear mind, a clear heart, and I'm connected to my soul. And that doesn't happen unless I make the space on a regular basis.
Yeah, amazing. What's going through your head right now with that decision of leaving? I mentioned,
Yeah.
I think I saw it on your Instagram too, went from, $1 million now to like 300,000, making way less because you're not as invested in that and pursuing this coaching life.
Listen, I'm not going to say it's not scary. I'm not going to say that there is not stressors added to it. But I fucking know who I am and I know what I can do. It's just a matter of time. Like, it's impossible for me to not win. With the focus that I have, the clarity on who I'm serving, my commitment and consistency, like, it may not happen in the timeline that I want because I don't, if I could have it like now, I would have it.
Can't skip all the lessons that
You
you
can't
get to
skip
learn.
it, right? And honestly, the way I'm building this is I'm having so much fun doing what I'm doing, not giving a fuck about what other people are thinking at this point, that when I told people what I'm doing, they're like, dude, wait, what? Because I'm at the top of my game. I'm basically retiring at the top of my game. And so all of that to say, I know I'm right where I'm supposed to be.
So here would be the thing that people listening would say, easy for you.
Yeah.
You made all this money. You probably have a good amount of savings. Yeah, you can go all in on this thing, save whatever the fuck you want because you got maybe a safety net or something. What would your response be?
Yeah. So I've been going back and reading all my journals from 2016 to 2022. And in 2017, I made the decision to leave my super high paying job of $55,000 a year.
That's what it felt like at the time.
At the time.
Yeah.
With very little savings. And I made the leap to go into real estate full time. And that feeling, that fear, those insecurities, that discomfort is the exact same feelings I'm feeling right now.
Mm-hmm.
So the money is irrelevant because at the time I had nothing to lose. I had nothing to lose, right? Like, we had just started dating. So like, if it didn't work out, like, see ya, broken relationship. Like, I'm a pretty good looking dude. I'd fucking figure it out.
Yeah, with your Deion Sanders sunglasses on.
Yeah. just really fitting the character here.
Yeah.
But the pain now is like, okay, so I have some of the savings, but I have a wife who's a stay-at-home mom. I have a son who's 17 months old. I have another son on the way, and I've created a life for myself that I refuse to sacrifice in the pursuit of this. The pain's the exact same. In fact, right now, I would say it might feel greater than it did then because of all the things I am leaving to go after what I know I'm called to do.
How have you cultivated this deep knowing in like, okay, this for you in this moment now seemed harder than that decision before, leaving that $55K a year job. How have you've said it twice now. I know who I am. Where does that come from? How have you built that?
Dude, like I said, build the fucking man. There is power in being in a community of people that the way they run, the businesses they operate, the decisions they're making trump every single thing I'm doing. Like, I'm making $1 million decisions. Well, not even, right? I'm making $100,000 decisions. These guys are making millions, $10 million decisions. And so like, I see the juxtaposition between where I'm at and where they're at. And it's like, okay, there's some perspective here. So not only having that community of people to be around and surround myself with so I can get perspective, but they're not with me day to day. So like I said earlier, one of the reasons I wake up is like my ability to not only, I used to just think like, okay, I'm going to meditate to ground myself. I'm going to meditate so I can get in touch with what the fuck is going on inside of me.
Mm.
And then I spend an hour like stacking, and like stacking for me, which is like a prompted journal, which is, I mean, the questions are very basic, is my opportunity to connect with God. I've always been a spiritual person. I think the church is a fucking joke, but I love my relationship with God, and you don't have to go to church for it. And like I'm sitting there talking with him, and I'll meditate in between, and I get like a download, like seems like I'm just like directly communing with him. And to anybody out there, you're like, dude, this guy sounds like he's fucking crazy. I don't care. It works for me.
I don't think my audience would
Yeah.
think this is crazy. Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm sitting there thinking, right, okay, and like I'm getting these massive downloads from him, right? And one of the downloads I got yesterday or 2 days ago was like, hey, this is what you're going to talk about on your live today. And I was like, dude, I was like, motherfucker. I was like, I do not want to do this. And it was the one that you had just commented on. And I was like, all right, listen, Sergio, if you're going to build the man, then you got to trust when you get some guidance and go. And I did it. And I would say it did okay. And I felt like it was me just purging my truth. But that came on the back of me being like, okay, exploring in these stacks and in these conversations with myself, like, well, why do I want to be liked? Well, it's because I got bullied as a kid. I got picked on a lot. We moved everywhere, so I just wanted people to like me so I could like fit in. And then realize like that doesn't serve me. And yet it served me to get here, but it's not going to serve me where I want to go. So all of this is just me asking myself the hard questions that most people don't want to ask themselves. And in getting the answers, I just know a little bit more. I'm just getting more of the map.
Yeah. That post that you made, which was great. If I can remember, I always say I'll link stuff in the description, and I like don't link anything. So I apologize if I do that again here. But it was, yeah, I commented. I was like, "This is your best post," and it was just you like saying like, you can give a taste of it, but it's like your thoughts on gun reform or like people should have the guns and there should be gun reform, and like there's this and there's that, and these different point of views that would probably trigger a lot of people. And this could be a post. I know I was watching. I was like, there's probably a post I could make where I could go out and say some stuff, speak more of my truth. And this is what I tell people to do. I'm like, I could do more of this. And then it can be scary, right? And it would go back to what you said, this need to be liked. What I'm so curious about is, we could talk about the need to be liked, but what I'm super curious about is like, you get these downloads. We were talking about this right when I showed up, and it was like, and I think my audience does this, right? We do breath work and meditate and we journal, and we're like, fucking great idea, right? I get these ideas on my runs, but then a day goes by, a week goes by, you're living your life, and you're like, oh yeah, that idea. Well, like, I'm not going to do that because that's pretty big. I'm going to do this thing down here that's a little bit easier, a little bit lighter. I'm going to ease into it. I can't go all in on this thing. The cultivation of trusting those downloads, where does that come from for you? Because again, like, that post, if anybody were to watch this and were to think of yourself making that, it'd be like, you go to hit that post button and you're like, oh, fuck. Like, I'm going to get a lot of hate comments. I know it. Like, fuck. Like, and then they don't post. You told me, you're like, there was no not posting that. Like, I was pumped to post that, actually.
No fear on that one.
So the cultivation, you keep saying, like, build the man. I'm going to go again, like, just being super curious. So you mentioned, like, stacking, journaling, these guided journal prompts, some of the silence in the morning. What else has allowed you to, like, because I imagine Sergio 2 years ago wouldn't have done that, wouldn't have made that post, wouldn't even have been available.
Sergio 2 months ago wouldn't have done that.
Wouldn't have been able to even receive that.
Nope.
So 2 months ago you wouldn't have done that. So what allows you to do that now?
I think a lot about the guy that has what I want.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Like, I don't believe you have to become anything more than who you are. You simply just must reveal the man that you've always were supposed to become. And there's a version of me 3, 5, 7, 10 years down the road that is living the life that I want. He has everything. And in that, he thinks about things differently. And so I started to ask myself the question of like, well, would he give a shit? That guy lives in honesty. That guy lives in truth. But that guy comes from a space where like it's doing it to wake people the fuck up and do it from a place of love. And it might be polarizing and people be like, oh, that's too much. And you're just saying this, but you're actually just being toxic. Well, you can go fuck yourself on that too. But this guy doesn't care because this guy knows what's at stake if he doesn't speak that way. Yeah. This guy knows that if he doesn't speak his truth and doesn't speak his honesty and doesn't say it in a way that kind of smacks somebody in the face and wakes him up, that that another marriage is going to end up in a divorce, and another son is going to end up being a womanizer, and another daughter is going to end up just sleeping around with other people because her father couldn't give her love, and there's going to be another wife that's just fucking crippled because her husband was a fucking asshole, and there's going to be another guy that's just going to fall into addiction. And so when I started to play that game out, I was like, you know what? I was like, fuck this. It's time. If I'm going to be the person who awakens souls, then I'm going to awaken my own, and you're going to fucking get the whole thing.
Dude, let's fucking go. I love it. This is what it sounds like, what it means to know who you are.
Yeah.
But none of this is possible if you hadn't done the fucking thing, right? Like, I know you've shared with people and on your Instagram and stuff, like, you and Lizzie almost broke up.
Multiple times. We called off our wedding.
Yeah.
Dude, listen, you can't lead anybody to a place that you're not willing to take yourself.
Yeah.
Lizzie and I were on the brink of like calling it off. 2.5 years of couples therapy, right? It was fucking hard. And part of the reason that it led to that is because I was addicted to the commission cocaine that comes with the sales job. It's easy to be like, that's a fucking drug. I've done tons of drugs in my life, and drugs are fucking fun. But you know what's really fun? Getting that feeling and then also getting paid in your bank account.
Mm.
And that led to a lot of tension with us, unresolved trauma from our past, and then also in this relationship. So I'm sitting there and like, yeah, we almost break up, and then we work on it and we make a decision to figure out, well, what do we want? 1 therapy session wasn't going to fix it. 2 wasn't going to fix it. 20 didn't fix it, but 20 plus conversations at home, 20 plus us being willing to open up with one another, 20 of us doing those things along with date nights. Yeah. Again, if you do the work, you can't fucking lose.
What would you say to somebody who, I know what you're going to say, I think, but like, yeah, but it's like hard. I'd rather, like, it's, I've been divorced. It's easy to not talk. It's easy to sit on the couch and watch The Office for the 8th time next to each other.
Yeah.
But not with each other. And to talk to a friend or to listen to a podcast and go, I'm going to do it. Podcast inspired me. I'm going to go talk to my spouse. I'm going to talk to my partner. Speak my needs. Speak how I'm feeling. I'm feeling disconnected. And this is a problem we get to solve together, right? Isn't that all great? It all sounds good, but then you get in front of her and it's like, I can't fucking do it.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to just, let's have some drinks and sit on the couch and do nothing. And so, yeah, how do you help people take that leap?
The health of your marriage is going to be dependent on the quality of questions you're willing to ask them. If you're running a business that's successful, you're probably pretty good at asking questions. If you know yourself on a deep level, you're probably pretty good at asking questions. I help them see where they're good at doing certain things in their life and just realize that, hey, everything you have is just a relationship. If you can build one relationship that's powerful, you can do it in another one. But it's so much, dude. Like, how do we fix this? Like, we haven't had sex in years, and like, we don't even laugh together. Cool. Ask them what they want. Ask them one simple question. Hey, babe, I know that this relationship isn't like what we both had in mind. Is this working for you? No? All right. What do you want? And then just let it go from there. But that first step is scary as shit because the answer might be, I don't fucking like you and I want a divorce. But that was going to come either way. So you might as well just get the truth out.
I think that's a great answer. And I also believe that they might not know what they want. So creating a space that feels safe enough for them to say maybe what they want. And then, okay, let's try it. I think you said in that one video, porn is bad, but also sex toys can spice a relationship. It's like maybe giving them the space to say, hey, I want to peg you. Or, maybe that's going 0 to 100 too fast, but maybe it's.
I know what you and Natalie do, so
not
that makes sense why you were running weird.
Yeah, I actually run faster. But yeah, it's giving them the space to like say that first thing, and then hey, let's try it. And then guess what? That might not even be the thing. So then it's safety to like, this wasn't it. Check in, right? Like this wasn't it. This didn't fully mean to be turning into a relationship thing, but I think it's
But it's all relationships, dude.
It's all relation. And we were talking on the run. I was like, back in December, I've said this on my podcast before, so I've shared this. We might have some new listeners or your listeners, but my business wasn't doing well, and I thought, I had to go all in more on my business. And long story short, what actually happened is that I had to face my deepest fear of speaking my needs to Natalie. And I did that. There were tears. Ultimately, we were more connected. Like, it was hard. It was fucking hard. And I was like, and I kept telling myself, I'm like, this will be the hardest one, I hope. And then conversation 100, this conversation will look like a joke, and we'll be so deeply connected and having these crazy deep conversations I never even thought were possible, right? And so I was like, just kept looking forward to like, this will be the first one, kind of ripping the Band-Aid off. Let's get more connected through this first one. And yeah, we got more connected. Plenty more conversations still to be had,
Yeah.
right? Because relationships truly are work, and I don't know if I ever truly believed that, which might be why I got a divorce.
Yeah.
But I will, and I'll just finish this with, and then my business started doing really well. I didn't
Yeah.
change anything in my business, but my business started doing well because I like cleared that space for myself
Yeah.
and got more connected with her, and then things just were able to flow in.
Yeah. I mean, listen, your business is a relationship. And if one of your relationships is the standard for the rest, well, then you're going to have that. And if you can't ask for what you want in a relationship, however can you ever ask for what you want in your business? I hate to fucking burst your bubble here, but the more you start to have these conversations, the more the hard shit's going to come out.
That's fair.
And no different than leaving a $55,000 a year job and then leaving $1 million a year job. Those first ones are hard. That first conversation was hard. And then the time when you're like, hey, listen, I know we felt like roommates. I've actually been fucking jerking off to porn for the last few months. And that's why I've been so disconnected. And now you have to look her in the eye and be like, huh? She's going to be like, oh, am I inadequate? And you're like, no, actually, this is my fault. Are you willing to have that conversation to save the relationship? Or do you hold that down inside and let it eat away at you? And these things happen, right? The more you start to connect with somebody at a soul level, the deeper the problems that start to open up. But the more honest that you are with each other, the more that you guys come together as one, and it goes from me to we, and then you're able really to like move through life as a unit. The conversations Lizzie and I have now, like some of them are like, we got into an argument the other night over a fucking quesadilla and cheese. And I looked at her, I was like, what are we arguing about? And she's like, yeah, this is stupid. I go, what are we not talking about? And so relationships are hard, but no different than businesses, right? They get more complex as they grow.
What was that quesadilla conversation like? Did you say that? What are we not talking about? And then you dive into it there? Do you set aside time for it?
No, we got into the argument here. It carried upstairs. We were just like chirping at each other, saying stupid shit. And I stopped her. I was like, dude, we're arguing about cheese and dust. And she laughed. I go, why don't we spend like 30 minutes on the couch tonight talking? So we sat down on the couch, and then that opened up a bunch of other shit. She was upset that my travel schedule had been so brutal. She felt very disconnected from me. There's a lot of stuff that came to the surface. Well, and then my clients would be like, well, dude, I don't want to rock the boat.
Yeah.
The pain's coming either way, motherfucker. So
Right.
you can either delay it and it's going to be worse, or you talk about it now and you can open things up. And in doing that, right, like now you're not carrying that weight on your shoulders and in your gut. So when you go to work out, if it's different, right? And when you go in your business relationships, you're full. So you have to look at this thing, right? And that's why I'm so big of trying to have it all. If you want to have it all, then we have to work on it all.
Yeah, I really love that, because it's like what I've seen for myself is that it's so easy to, I'm willing to like a new business idea. Let's go for it. I'll do this new training, make up a framework, try it out. Oh shit, didn't work. Whatever. Maybe I lost some trust there. But I've learned a lot about myself as a business owner and my ideas and how to improve them, and like wouldn't have gotten there if I didn't just go for it.
Yeah.
And like I could see how that's easy. And then fitness, right? I'll do these ultra marathons, push myself, push the mental barrier and the physical training, because I know like I'd rather do all these trainings, which can be hard now. We did sprints today, could feel hard now, but like when I get to the starting line at the 100 miles, I'm confident. Like yeah, it's gonna be hard, 100 miles, of course, but like better than if I didn't do all that training. And so I kind of see in that way of relationships, and those conversations where there's always more, right? Yeah, it can always be harder. You just run a little faster. Now your signups you want 1,000 signups instead of 10 that you wanted 5 years ago. It's so easy to do these things because like I know if I do them now that everything will be better later. And it's like you said, I don't want to rock the boat, but it's like this shit's gonna be fucking terrible, even worse if you don't bring it up now.
Yeah.
Kind of like if I went to get at the starting line at the 100 miles, it's gonna be awful if I didn't do all the training. So it's kind of having that mindset of like, yeah, we can just sit on the couch. Like, all right, yeah, it might suck.
Yeah.
And having said that, I'm going to kind of 180 here. Can it be easier? Can it be fun? Like, does it have to be so painful and hard? And I'll share something too, because there was conversations I wanted to have with Natalie, and I'm in this group, this therapy group, and so we're learning strategies on how to create deeper relationships. And there was this conversation I wanted to have, and I was like, for some reason it was feeling sticky, and I was like sit down on the couch and like talk about this just doesn't feel fun. I was like, I don't know, could it be fun? And it was funny, like a day or two later, Nat and I are on a run, and all of a sudden, I don't even remember how it happened. We just started having that conversation, and we're running, and it's so fun and playful. And I'm like, maybe this can be really easy.
Well, when you think about it, it's the relationship. Is the relationship, do you want it to be a fun relationship? Well, then design the conversation. Sometimes it's going to be a hard down, sit on the couch conversation. Sometimes it could be going out to get margaritas and going for a walk. There's no rules to the game except for the one that you create. Like, it doesn't have to be like this. Hold my hand, look into my eyes, and let's have this conversation. It can be exactly what you did. And if that worked for you, then that works. I think too many times people are like, well, it has to look this way. And it's like, who the fuck said that it has to look this way? You know? And so I think the ability to play with it, find the right path, and do the right things, ask the right questions, do the right activities, and be able to explore for what works for the couple and what works for you is important. And when you start to put yourself in a box, ask yourself, well, who put me here? So I think it's great that you're having these hard conversations. I think it's great that you're able to find fun in it because it doesn't have to all be heavy. Like, this has been a heavy conversation, but when you come into my life, like, and I'm waking up at 3:15, people are like, dude, that must be hard. I'm like, I love it. Like, I love it. And I know that sounds crazy, but for me, like, I look forward to it. I go to the gym, I love it. Making content, I love it. Coaching my clients, I love it. Doing this, I love. Like, at some point I realized I already have it all. I just have to realize that. I don't have to chase everything, and yet I can chase whatever I want. So I just think anything in life can be fun, but we just have to be willing to realize like it's going to look different than maybe what people tell us it's supposed to look like.
Yeah, so you've been in a lot of parts of life where you probably wouldn't say that I have it all right now.
Plenty. Dude, it wasn't until recently until somebody was like, I just want to question the frame that you've put yourself in. They're like, what if you already have it all and you just want something more? And I was like, fucking brain went dead. My mouth stopped working because I couldn't figure out what they were saying. And then when like I peeled it back and I kind of sat with it, I was like, dude, okay, I have this dope house. I'm pursuing a career that I want to pursue. I'm choosing to put myself into this stress and grow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I get to work out. I get to wake up and do the stuff I want to do. You know, I get to go on vacations and just like play with Luca. Like, I have everything. I have everything. And so that fulfillment is the fuel for me to go and look down the horizon and be like, well, what else can I do? This isn't a game. And this is kind of like a real processing moment right now in this moment. This isn't a game of having more. For me, it's a game about becoming more and seeing what else I can do. Like, if I've done this from January, starting with you, to this very moment today in September, if I've done that in 9 months, what can I do in 9 years? Like, I want to see. I want to see.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's such a fun way to look at life of like, it's kind of been, I think the undertone of all this conversation of like, we don't really know. Well, let's go try some shit, see if it gets us what we want. And I don't even mean, and this is some of the work I've been doing, but like, I'm not even talking about like, did I make this money? You know, do I have the house? Like, whatever, all these tangible things. It's like these internal feelings that like, what is fun and exciting? What makes me grounded? Like, you know, what feels good to pursue? Like, we did these sprints, and I'm like, doesn't feel good to fuck it. Like, I haven't done
I was having a
sprints in
blast,
forever.
dude. With you hanging out, running, being like, dude, my fucking hamstrings, these small ass legs, trying to compete with like this gazelle. That shit was hard. I was having fun with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's it. And it's like, it's not for you now that you can go do this race as fast as possible and get a gold medal or whatever. Or for me, even finishing the 100-miler, getting the belt buckle, like whatever. I don't fucking want the belt buckle. It's like, it's these next, well, I'm 28 weeks out. Like, it's this whole journey of it that I'm living in Breck right now and get to run through the fucking aspen changing leaves that are golden. Like, I get to be out here and smell fresh air. it's on those runs when I don't bring my headphones that like all of a sudden I get these business ideas. Or sometimes I do. I tout a lot that I don't bring my headphones, but sometimes I do listen like 10 minutes of a podcast and then take them out because like now my brain's
Yeah.
rolling and I have these genius business ideas. And we were talking about it on the run. I'm like thinking of new content ideas, thinking about marketing in a different way, like how I can promote this next product, how I can build this membership that I'm building and get my 40 signups when I launch and 200 by the end of the year. Like thinking about how to do that is so fucking exciting. But we get so caught up in like,
Those are downloads.
yeah, for sure.
That's
Totally.
what I call downloads.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yes, absolutely. And to do those things, or I think even deciphering maybe what not to do. Like, is this a distraction? We
Yeah.
were talking about distractions. Anyway, I say like the undertone of this conversation is like we don't know. We get to go out, try it, then we get to reflect and be like, was that fucking awesome? Did it get me the feelings I want to have? Not because I get the belt buckle at the end of 100 miles, but like, was that process fun? And do I like who I'm becoming along the way?
Yeah.
And if you don't, you get to fucking choose differently. You get to do something else.
Yeah. Having it all is one thing, right? And you're in the pursuit of having it all and all of that, right? The real goal, though, is freedom. To feel free in all areas of your life. Like my body, I feel free because I can do whatever I want. I accidentally ran a half marathon, right? I can lift more weights than you name it, right?
Most, yeah,
than
99% of, yeah.
right? I feel free in my relationship with myself because I'm able to explore. I feel free in my relationship with Lizzie because I can communicate, and the relationship built with Luca. I feel free to speak in my business. And then there's areas of my life where I feel like I'm in a prison, right? My shoulder hurts, and so I have an injury in my body. I don't fully know where I stand with God, right? Like that's a prison for me. My relationship with Lizzie, there's things that I am afraid to say to her. Like I'm not perfect. In my business, there's still like an underlying scarcity mindset of like, well, what if I fucking lose all of this? I have this knowing I can do it, but what if this happens? And the end goal is simply to get freedom, to be fully free.
Which
you can be at any moment.
I don't think we will ever will. Do you think we will? You said you could be at any moment, but
you can choose to be.
Wait, there's glimpses, right? Like
yeah.
I think I was telling you, I was on this run in Crested Butte. Natalie had her 50-mile race a few days later. I was on this long run, just in the mountains, just connected with nature, no headphones, and I just couldn't stop smiling. And I'm like, this is fucking it. Like I'm right. I have it all. I'm living it. This is the fucking dream. And then an hour later, next day, a week later, it's like nothing's going right. Fuck everything. But I think that's like, this is like you've seen The Matrix?
Yeah.
This is like the robots took over and were feeding off of us in The Matrix, right? And they built lives for us just to keep us alive in their little tanks. And they made perfect lives. And we woke up. And they made really shitty lives. And people woke up like, it can't be this bad. So they had to find this balance of like, we'll give them a little bit of good, a little bit of bad to keep them going, to keep them moving. Because if it was just always good, where would the excitement and joy be to like see what you're made of and to like, find the joy in having these deeply connected conversations with Lizzie? Because if you don't have those conversations, I don't think you're connected.
No. I think like if there was a guarantee that everything was going to work out, it wouldn't be very exciting. So I think there's moments of freedom.
Yeah.
I think the ultimate freedom is at the end of it, right? Which I hope when I put my head down for the last time. Hey, buddy.
Hi, Luca.
When I put my head down for the last time, right, that there's some level of freedom that I get to feel.
Yeah.
And if I'm in the pursuit of trying to have it all and be free, well, then I'm just giving myself the best chance.
There's a balance of the pursuit and the presence.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I always love the phrase, be where your feet are. Natalie and I woke up early for a sunrise hike at Loveland Pass. 28 degrees. Wind chill probably brought it down to 0.
How hard were your nipples?
Dude. Rock hard. Absolutely rock hard. Everything felt rock hard. I was so cold and was not prepared. 'Cause it's September.
Yeah.
And but we're up there and it's real steep. Start getting a sweat. I'm like, okay, my hands are frozen, but my body's starting to sweat. And we start coming down, and just the view on the way down, looking out at the sun and like just the 14ers, you could see all the mountains. And I'm just like smiling. I'm like, this is so fucking great. A lot of these moments have been happening a lot, more and more recently, which is really cool. And I've also been getting weird glimpses of like these childhood flashbacks that make me feel so much childlike joy.
Yeah.
And so what I'm alluding to is like these moments happen, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh no, we're gonna get in the car, and then we're gonna be at the apartment, and I'm gonna like work a little today, and like I'm gonna lose this feeling, and then I start worrying about the future, and I'm like, dude, be where your feet are. You feel fucking incredible right now. Just be right here. Like, why do you have to? You don't need to hold on to this. It's happening right fucking now.
Yeah.
You know. But so it's like that. How much can we hold on to that while also like, hey, this is the thing I'm building.
I think it's the ability to modulate between the two.
Mm.
Like if you didn't ever look to the horizon, then you would never pursue anything. And if you never looked how far you've come, then you wouldn't have the energy to realize how far you've come to pursue what you're trying to pursue. And all of that requires one thing, your ability to be right here.
Mm. Yeah, I love it. Okay, you've said this a few times. I kind of want to talk about this. Your dreams become your prisons.
Yeah.
You said it a few times. Can you talk a little bit more on that?
I mean, the life that you have right now, are you happy with it?
Of course I am, Sergio.
Okay.
And I want more.
Everything?
No.
Okay. And let's rewind 5 years ago. What were you doing 5 years ago?
Oh, dear God. September. This is actually almost a 5-year anniversary of being in Denver. So I was still a civil engineer
Where?
in New York City.
What were you wearing?
Oh, God. Button down, khakis,
Yeah.
brown belt, brown shoes.
Fucking nerd. If I went back to that version of Matt, I was like, hey, man, listen, in 5 years from now, you're going to be running your own business, making good money. You're going to be with a girl that you love more than anything. You're going to be proud of yourself, and you're going to know who you are as a man. And you're going to be so happy and so joyful and so content. How do you think that version of Matt would feel?
You ready for this? The first word that came to my mind was free.
Free.
Yeah.
And so that version of Matt would be ecstatic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about like me 20 years ago, if I had like seen where I'm living right now with the wife that I have and everything that I've created, I'd be like,
yeah, it'd be like no fucking way.
I'd be doing cartwheels in the street.
That was the other thing. It's like, what? Running your own business?
Yeah.
You don't know how to do that? Like, what the fuck?
And so
Who are
now
you?
you're sitting here
Yeah.
in this beautiful life that Matt 5 years ago would have felt free in. You want more in your business?
My prison.
You want more in your business?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you feel like there's a level of depth to you and Natalie that still is possible?
Of course.
Do these sloppy ass triceps need a little bit of work?
Oh my God. How dare you?
Does that feel like a prison?
Come at me with the triceps. Yeah.
Maybe I'll touch them again. Does that feel like a prison?
Yeah. Keep flopping them. Yeah.
So my point is this, right? Like, even though this was your dream at one point, you're here and it feels like a prison.
Mm.
And so it's that ability to be like, okay, is this a prison or is this just the box that I've placed myself in? And if you want to break the box, if you want to break the frame, then the next question is, well, what are the rules of the game I want to play?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Because the rules become your actions, and your actions become your future.
Can you say a little bit more about rules? Do you have your clients write out rules for themselves?
Depends on what frame we're in. Like, what are the rules of your relationship? Like, how far are you willing to go with Natalie? Like, what's conversation-wise? What are you willing to talk to her about? Are you willing to talk to her that you probably think about other women and maybe get erections to them? Probably not.
Is that a conversation worth having?
I'm just asking the question. Is
Yeah,
that a
yeah.
line that you're willing to go to?
Yeah.
Right? So there's rules that you just won't break.
Hmm.
But I want you to ask yourself, like, well, what if the rule was I'm just going to be as honest with Natalie as possible so that we can have this depth and connection? Hey, listen, I don't know where this feeling is coming from, but I just want you to know, like, sometimes I think about other girls, but I'm committed to you, and I just want you to know I'm exploring that for myself because I don't know where that insecurity comes from.
Hmm.
I could just be because I'm a dude and I want to fuck everything. I don't know. My point is this. You have to start to question the results in your life. The results in your life, everything you have right now is dictated by the rules that you've been playing by and the stories that you tell yourself. So when you start to explore whatever those are, if they're not serving the results that you want, then you have a responsibility to change them. And that can be done with getting perspective, meditation, stacking. That can be done with getting perspective, psychedelics, or being in a room of people that are going to pull you and push you and expand you. And in that, you can start to rewrite the stories and rewrite the rules. And now you can play a different game.
I love that. I don't want to call it perspective, but just like setting those rules. I do well with frameworks and like give me that little like tangible tool, even if it's not really tangible, it can help me improve. I wonder if this helps others. But like the first thing that came to my mind was like I know I look at my phone too much, right? Like I'll pack up all this shit, I'll get in my car and I'll sit in the car for like 5 minutes and like send a DM like on Instagram and like, oh, I have some text and it's
Yeah.
like it's not necessary. And I could have the rule of like you check Instagram for 5 seconds, fine. And maybe we ease off of it, but like you don't even look at the DMs. 8 a.m. in the morning, 6 p.m. at night. That's the only time you do DMs. Like it's just stealing time, right? And it's this like addiction to like, oh, like let's get back to this person. Like, oh, let's respond. And it's just a fucking dopamine like addiction
Yeah.
that's there. And I could set better rules. I have an app that'll block it for me, right? Like compared to like I'm meeting our boy Taylor after this. His mom's in town. Gonna have lunch, and it's like I gotta go to my storage unit. So like I could go to the storage unit and be at Taylor and be on time, or what? I'll be 10 minutes late and breaking a commitment to be on time and make them wait and like that's not cool. That's not the person I want to be, right?
Yeah.
So I like the idea of like even that something so specific as that of like my rule to myself is that I don't respond to DMs, right? Like I think you can really get specific with those things, and you can have a thousand rules if you want. That could really help you live the life you want, become the man. And so you have an event coming up in
I do.
Denver.
Yep.
I want to talk. Actually, can I actually talk about not to toot my own horn, but we worked together. We were actually going to work together 2 years ago.
Yep.
You paid me. You were like, bad timing. I'm about to have a kid.
Yep.
Keep the money. We'll work together when the timing's right. I'm like, all right. So you came back to me about a year later.
Yep.
We worked together. You're like, I want to build this life coaching business. I'll give the short story, which is that you could share whatever you want from it. But basically, at the beginning of 2023, when did you launch? Was it like March?
March 2023.
March. So we like, you basically had the structure, you know exactly what you wanted to create. So we didn't really work on the offer as much as like promoting it, getting it ready, making your first sale. So you made 5 sales, $7,500 each, sold out. 5 was your goal, which was fucking incredible. And you just started your business. And now here you are, we're getting to the end of the year. And now you are doing an in-person event for 75 people. And share with me what it's like coaching people, where you're taking people. People probably have an idea from listening to this podcast, but like, just I want to open the floor to like, just tell me about the experience this past year.
I can't. I mean, dude, I got to give you a ton of credit. Like, none of this would have been where it's at without the direction you gave me, right? I think at one point I was like, dude, maybe I'll just coach people for free, just to get some experience. And you're like, whoa. And then the thing that you said to me, you go, where's the Sergio that I wanted to work with? I was like, fucking all right. And I pushed that. And my goal is to be your first $100,000 or your first 6-figure client. I'm $2,000 short. So we're almost there.
Count it.
Yeah, count it.
I'll send you $2,000.
Yeah, $2,000. Thanks. Venmo is Shodio.
Yeah.
And so we're coming up, right? 13 clients. We're growing this thing, making it my full-time job. And I have this event coming up at the end of the year. Here's what I realize is that we've talked about having it all. We've talked about being free, but none of that works unless you're clear on what it is. And none of that really works unless you're willing to be honest about where you're at. And so this 3-day event simply is this. We need to define, we got to go through some reflection. We have to have some hard conversations with ourselves. We need to be real with where we are at in our body, in our relationship with ourselves, in our relationships with the people we love in our business. We can establish all of that so that we can move into creating your impossible game for all of next year. And this isn't just like this is a vision board. I want to go to Mexico. This is like, hey, let's get fucking detailed as shit on like, how do you want your body to be in the end of 2024? What do you want your relationships to look like? Like let's get detailed, like with your wife and your kids or your husband and your kids, whatever it may be. What do you want your business to look like at the end of 2024? And we create this impossible game with these radical results. And all of a sudden, like now we have this huge gap between the two. Fuck. This is where I'm at. This is where I want to go. And this is usually where it stops. Hey, go make your vision board. Cut out your pictures.
Yeah, look at it every day.
Yeah. And that's about as good as affirmations. So the next day is really when we start to get into the tactical stuff. Like I have a process and a system to help people take the gap between those two and start to bridge it. And so we built out your monthly plan for January. You're going to have everything that you need, your monthly missions for your body, for your being, for your balance in your business. And then we're going to break it down as like, this is what you're doing week one, week one, week one, week two, all the way through the end of the month. The month, if we work together, we do our production meetings, and then we reestablish them for February. And that's a 2-day event. So this live event is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. What is it? The 27th, 28th, 29th of November. It's, let's see, we got 26 people have already signed up. We got room for 75. And if you're listening to this podcast and you want to be a part of it, go follow me on Instagram. Send me a message. What's the name of the show?
Yeah. Powerful Online Leadership.
Powerful Online Leadership.
Yeah. But type leader.
Type in leader with me, and I'll give you half off.
Oh, baby. Let's go. I love that. I love all of it. I mean, I'm fucking ready to sign up based on
You're going to.
based on our whole conversation. And even like, these experiences I've had, the story that I mentioned like in December, having this conversation with Natalie, and then business like effortlessly took off. Like clearing the gap. I would say like that energy, just raising your vibration, that could happen from this event, period. And then you just imagine doing that every day for the year, actually getting what you want. Like, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
And you're the man to take people there.
And the other part about this too is the coaching members that I have, they're all bringing their spouses. Here's what I know. If you and your spouse don't grow together, you grow apart. And if you grow apart, then we're going to have big fucking problems.
Yeah.
And just to put my money where my mouth is, Lizzie's going to come and speak, and she's going to tell you about what it's like to be married to somebody who's a fucking lunatic. And she's going to be open and honest about the struggles that we have and how we work through it and our ability to use the stuff that we have, the tools that we have in order to truly go after it all.
That's amazing. I love it. And I love that Lizzie's willing to do that too, which is cool. And I think it's a testament to your relationship, and trust in each other. It's fucking awesome and super exciting. And you just are somebody who I think there can be a lot of, we don't know online who people really are behind what they show. They rent a Lamborghini for a day. They don't actually own it, right? They don't have the money, but like you're somebody in this gorgeous home who's made $1 million from real estate. We just ice bath. You got a 6-pack, you're like 40 years old, almost. You do all the things. You're proof of the concept, and if that's not enough, what more do y'all want, and more excuses, right? More like, yeah, it's easy for you, Sergio. But like you said, you've had a heart attack. I know we didn't get into it, but you've been, in debt trying to be a CrossFit coach to pursue your dreams, and so you've been in these places, calling off your marriage. You've been in these places, and now you're on the other side. And of course, there's still more to do. So you're proof of it, and it's always an inspiration. I love when we get to hang out.
Same.
It's super fun. So yeah, definitely give Sergio a follow. All the stuff will be in the show notes. Those will actually be there. Anything I mentioned earlier that I would drop, I honestly can't guarantee that shit's going to be there. Hopefully my editor can call me out and help me out there. But dude, this is awesome. Is there any other last words, anything we didn't talk about that you'd like to share?
Dude, you're a phenomenal host. And like I said, none of this, I wouldn't be here without you. And you said you had a post that was directly related about me. And I think the thing that I took out of this is this. Our jobs as a coach, my job as a coach is not to make you dependent on me. High school coaches get people ready for college. College coaches get ready for the pros, and pro coaches get people into the Hall of Fame. I'm your coach for a season of life. I'm not your coach forever. But I'm not here because I want people to be dependent on me, just like you aren't. Yeah. I'm here to just get you to wherever you need to go, and then you get to choose what that level of freedom is that you want.
I love it, dude. Yes, that post.
It was awesome.
That post, I was like, all right, Sergio and I, we're going to do like another 3 months together. I'm going to get him to a 100K launch, and you're like, I'm good. I'm moving on to the guy who's making millions of dollars, which you haven't done. And I'm like, I respect the hell out of that. And then, I made that post, and people loved it, but it was just my truth. And it is what I believe, right? Like, I don't want you to need me forever. And I totally respected you for that. I was like, yeah, dude, you're right. I haven't made $1 billion, so go learn from someone who has, and you'll learn probably a fuck ton more things that I don't know. So it's awesome. So thank you for that. And I love you, dude.
Love you too, man. Hi.
Peace out, everyone.
See ya.